welcome everyone to another episode of Author Talk. My name is Aaron, and today we have a pair of guests joining us to talk about a topic that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. We have John Graham, a little bit of background there. He is a senior network administrator of lifestyle health and wellness, medical fitness, fitness and sports performance at St. Luke's University Health Network in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He is a senior contributor to Sports Ed TV. He has served in many roles with the National Strength and Conditioning Association, including as the board vice president, treasurer, chair of the certification committee. He holds leadership positions with the American Council on Exercise and Medical Fitness Association. So very involved there. We have Mike Barnes, has over 25 years experience in the strength and conditioning and fitness industry, and is president and owner of Infinity Personal Training and Fitness in Colorado Springs. So kind of two opposite sides of the map here that we have joining us today. So, Mike has previously worked in Division I athletics. He's worked in the National Football League. If I have this correct, you were with San Francisco 49ers for a little bit there. Served as the director of education for the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of background, a lot of experience joining us. But they are here specifically to talk about their co-authored book, Metabolic Training, the ultimate guide to the ultimate workout. So again, John and Mike, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Aaron, thank you. We're glad to be here, and we're on two different sides of the country right now. Mike's in Colorado Springs, and I'm in Pennsylvania, and so East Coast, and I guess you would call it almost West Coast.
West Coast, and I'm right in the middle, in the Midwest here. So we have a little bit of everything covered, I guess.
Right.
So I think we can go ahead and jump in here. I think the first question, and to kind of help our listeners understand the context of the conversation and really kind of the basis of what the book is about, if you guys could just kind of define metabolic training. What does metabolic training mean? What does it mean to you and in your experience training?
Go ahead, Mike. Mike, you go first.
Well, what I would say is that because your body has metabolisms and anaerobic and aerobic, and there's some subsets of that as well, what we did was kind of target those metabolisms on workout design to basically get the results that we want. So in the way we kind of broke down some of the book was we can train for endurance, we can train for sport specific, we can train for fat loss. Gosh, there's a few other topics in there as well, but that was kind of the theory behind it. And I guess the subdivisions, of metabolic training, if that was the overarching concept, there's high intensity interval training, there's a kind of a low intensity interval training, there's long, slow distance training, tempo training. So anyhow, that's kind of how we came about with the metabolic training. And John's, I don't know. JG, I don't know if there's anybody that's got more experience in this area as a coach than you. And as I was kind of working through the workouts there with you, I was like, man, oh man, these are on point. So to answer your question, Aaron, that's a little bit long-winded.
Oh, no, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, I guess Mike kind of threw it to you, John. Like what is metabolic training to you? Like how would you define metabolic training?
So metabolic training is a series of exercises performed in succession with minimal rest periods between them, with the idea that we're trying, as Mike brought up, we're trying to train three different energy systems. So we're trying to train the aerobic pathway, the anaerobic pathways, trying to really develop a person's health and wellness. But the idea behind metabolic training that really makes it significantly beneficial is, as Mike was saying, we can train everything from endurance, fat loss, muscle development, strength and power to athletic performance. And the way that I initially started doing this was about 30 years ago. A lot of the high schools that we were working with told us, you only got 30 minutes with our kids in the weight room. What are you going to do? And so I had to come up with 30-minute workouts that really were designed to maintain in-season fitness and strength and development for our athletes. And, what you saw initially was you go in the weight room and the kids stand around and do very little. So we came up with these circuits where the kids could go from one exercise to another with minimal rest between them, really get a maximum benefit out of the workout, train their muscles well, and then really start to see some benefits. What I got out of that was, I had athletes from very elite levels of fitness to very lower levels of fitness doing these workouts, and we were able to come and make everybody better. So next step was, how do we apply this to our fitness world?
Yeah.
And so we started developing programs for our fitness clients with the same idea and the same concepts. And if you go to any one of our fitness classes that we use, a lot of these workouts came out of from development. I have people in my classes that range from their 20s to their 70s, all part of the same workout. Obviously, we have different weights at different stations, so they can select from the weights that are more appropriate to them. But the idea is that everybody can be a participant in the workout. The benefit is, if you set up a 1 minute station, the beginner might be doing it for 30 seconds. The more intermediate person might be doing it for 40. But then the advanced person in the group can do it for almost the full 60 seconds and get a minimal rest period before moving to the next station. So it really accommodates fitness for everyone, and maximizes benefits from a standpoint of overall fitness.
Okay. I guess kind of going off of that, you said that you had been working with athletes, and then you realized that you had this really tight time constraint compared to what you would probably prefer to train a group in. I guess going off of your guys' experience, what was some of the initial reaction maybe of some of those athletes or some of those clients when they were probably used to working out a different way, and now all of a sudden you're introducing this completely new type of training to them that is going to be beneficial to them, but maybe they're not so sure right away?
So I can tell you from my perspective, when we started doing with the athletes, obviously the first thing was, well, they're not using the heavier weights that they were used to using as part of our standard undulating periodization models. And obviously in the off season, we're doing a little bit more of that than we are the metabolic training. But what we found was two things. First and foremost, they were getting much better workouts in season. They were staying healthier throughout the season. So their fitness level was improving and they were staying healthier. They were performing better later in competition because they weren't getting fatigued as much, because they were developing this new level of metabolic fitness that maybe they didn't develop even in the off season. So what we started finding out was we were getting better results with less injuries with our athletes, and the coaches were thrilled because they're like, "John, what are you doing this year that our kids are getting that much better that we hadn't seen in previous years?" Right. So that was kind of how it worked. And I even started applying with our football teams, which football coaches initially had a lot of pushback on that because, you're not pounding bench presses and squats and stuff like that with heavy weights. But what they saw in results basically took away any concerns they had right off the bat.
I was going to tell you too, Aaron, that what I found when I started using some of the workouts is well, to back up, before myself and John, we always talk about fitness and training or whatever it is, but before we wrote the book and kind of got organized with it, I was doing some metabolic training with Free Motion Fitness. I was consulting with that. And then we were doing some stuff on the incline trainer, which is basically just a treadmill that goes up to 30 degrees. And John, I don't know if you know Matt Ray. I know you know of Matt, but Matt was consulting at the same time, and we were kind of kicking around with the ideas. If we put a workout together that managed the fatigue of the individual to get at the time we want the highest metabolic effort possible, and in basically the least amount of time, be it half hour to an hour. So we were kind of using the treadmill and some multi-joint exercises, compound movements. And then what you did was you took it up a level or two and said, okay, now I can do more targeted training with a sports performance model. How do I adapt that? And what I found recently with my clients, and I borrowed a few pages from you, John, was how adaptive and flexible the model can be and use any implements you want to pretty much, and any weight you want to as well. So it could be just body weight stuff, sandbags, barbells, sleds, treadmills. You've got such a wide range, and people feel more comfortable on the things that they're used to. So the model was just so flexible. And I was thinking to myself, as we started going through the routine, I got to slow down. I can tell you right now, the people that I'm working with are not going to be able to handle the intensity, because it almost seems like they want to jump from movement to movement. And I'm like, all right, you got another 20 seconds. You got 30 seconds. Slow it down. And I'm watching them going, okay, you're not going to be able to last. But all that said, the model is very flexible and very adaptive to the individual as well, which I found, super helpful for me.
Aaron,
Oh,
a lot of times when people first start, as a matter of fact, I had a new client this morning in our 615 class. What happens a lot of times when they first start is, they get into the workout with you and they're finding that, hey, I'm getting fatigued after 30 seconds. And what we tell them is, hey, at 30 seconds, when that's your fatigue point, then just rest and recover until I say switch and move to the next exercise. So that enables everybody to really adapt. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest benefit we find out of it,
uh-huh.
kind of a sidebar, but the biggest benefit I find out of it, people don't have their cell phones with them when you're doing it. They don't have time for it. They can't look at their cell phone. So nobody's getting a text message. Nobody's getting a phone call. Nobody's responding to emails.
Yeah.
People are focused on just enjoying a workout. And for 45 minutes to an hour or half an hour, whatever they're doing it for, they're completely locked in. So it's really enabled them to maximize their workout time and benefit most exclusively from working out as opposed to any distractions that might occur along the way.
I'm glad that you took that sidebar though, because I actually appreciate that. I want to go off that a little bit. You mentioned how they were enjoying the workouts. So is that something when you introduce this type of training? I think one of the complaints that I hear a lot of times is maybe people get bored with training or they're not motivated to train. So from your experiences, has this actually helped people, get more motivated to train, or maybe realize that they can get in a lot of good quality work in a shorter amount of time and they're not spending hours and hours in the gym? Has that been a case for you too?
I've definitely been what I have clients that exclusively just take metabolic training. We offer it 7 days a week in our gym.
Okay.
And I teach 5 days a week personally, but we also have other instructors that teach various classes at various times as well. And what we've all talked about is we all teach it a little differently. We all have different concepts to how we do it or how we set up our circuits and things along that line. But the bottom line to the situation is any day people can come in and do a metabolic workout with us. And they're really hitting that criterion that the American College of Sports Medicine, the NSCA, American Council on Exercise, everybody's out there stressing nowadays, which is to do 30 to 60 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. They're saying 150 to 300 minutes of exercise per week. What we're finding is it's really the key point to getting people to be consistent with meeting those numbers and doing it on a daily basis, because every workout's different. They're not having to worry about recovering, their chest muscles or their back muscles, or because they did chest day the day before. Now they're getting their whole body working. And what a lot of people are telling us now is that they're seeing major differences in their body composition and in their physical appearance from doing this working out. So it's not just having it, that I guess you would call aesthetic quality improvement to them, but they're also seeing major improvements in their fitness level. We have people trained for half marathon, Spartan, who are doing this as a part of their training because they find that it really helps them for those events as well.
Okay. What have some of your experiences been with that, Mike?
Well, my observations have been the sequences of exercises, and I got to give credit to John because he wrote all the programming. I might have chimed in a little bit here and there, but the sequences of exercises are blended in such a way, and we call them pods in the book.
Okay.
They complement each other, and what it does effectively, and I know John manages this in the design of the program, is that it distributes the fatigue throughout your efforts and your body, as opposed to whatever, say on upper body only. So it might be mountain climbers followed by push-ups, followed by forward lunges. I'm just using that as an example.
Sure.
But you're not just, I can't lift up my arms anymore. So I think it's almost, maybe the proper word is kind of subtle or discreet. You know that your heart rate is high, but you're not feeling it like you're hammering a bike where you're, I don't know, whatever, 160 beats per minute on a bike. And man, my legs are screaming. You're not ever, you get that full body cook, but you're not ever really getting to the point of, man, I just can't, my legs are just smoked. I can't go any further. So that's been kind of my observation, which I love, because I think a huge part of what we do as coaches is manage fatigue, and we're managing fatigue within the workout itself, Aaron. That's kind of I guess that's part of the secret sauce, is what I would say.
Okay. And I did see someone just kind of comment about splits, but this is more of like a full body workout every time in. So I think that is interesting that using this type of training, what I know and what I've gathered from the book is that you can use this type of training, you can get a full body workout, but like you guys said, you're kind of managing that fatigue level so that you are able to go again the next day or in two days again when you're not so that you're not as sore, and kind of encouraged to take more off days in that case. So I want to go to something that you guys have mentioned a little bit, about how you can really use this for different goals, because I think maybe the general public that doesn't know a lot about training, maybe, or maybe they're just getting into it, they hear metabolic training and they immediately think fat loss or weight loss. But as you guys have already talked about, you can use this to build lean muscle mass. You can use it to continue to build strength and power, and like you guys mentioned, for sports performance. So if you guys could kind of maybe break down each one of those, or kind of give examples of each one of those, and how each different population might benefit from that.
So if we're talking about the endurance one, let's use that one as a good example, as the first one. Endurance, we focus a lot on higher repetition volume. So they're going to be doing 20 reps. Okay. They're going to be doing more body weight activities. So they might be doing speed squats combined with mountain climbers, burpees. Burpees not always everybody's favorite one to talk about. Certain people have different feelings on burpees, but we teach it in a very specific way and really work on technique. But we focus a lot with that group as more of a body weight type training, not higher intensity. So they're not using heavy weights. If they are using weighted implements, whether it be kettlebells, dumbbells, whatever types of implements we have out on the floor that day. But it's really driven around the idea of, hey, if I'm going to be doing, like, let's say hiking as a regular participation activity, or if I'm a distance runner or something like that, that workout really works well for me, because it really helps to build my muscles up in a way that I can functionally use them when I go out to do those types of exercises and activities. Believe it or not, I've even found our endurance program, as much as we like to use our sports performance program for sports like golfing and tennising, with some of our summer recreational activities. And now the new hot one out there is everybody wants to learn how to get stronger and fitter for pickleball. Right. So what we've done with those programs is we've really kind of done like a hybrid with them. So we may do endurance one day. I may do strength and power the next day. I may throw in a sports performance, some muscle mass development, and then we're looking at different types of programming so that we're giving them different concepts every day. The idea being behind throwing in different concepts every day is we're making them stronger and fitter for everyday activities as well as sports performance. One of the key things I know with a lot of our clients is they want to be able to jump again. Like when we were kids, we could, jump from the ground, to a table 36 inches high. Now, if we try to do that, Mike and I may not make that 36 inches anymore. I think you're still young enough that you'll clear 30. Maybe. Mike and I probably don't have the verticals we once had. But the idea behind that is how do we continue to maintain those type 2B muscle fibers that a lot of people lose as they go into their later adult years and into their senior years. So we're really teaching that, and teaching balance, functional movement to avoid falls, different things like that a lot of our clients really benefit from and really can maximize. And with the way boxes are designed today with plyometric jumps, you can jump up on a 12-inch box and you're only landing a short distance on a cushioned surface. Right. So it's not like we have to worry about trauma when someone does a jump like that on a box. Mike, you want to?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the muscular strength and power one. So the way we kind of design that, and I should mention this, to John's credit, there's beginner in each one of the I guess overall topics there, like be it endurance or fat loss, or in this case, muscular strength and power. We've got 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced within there, so you can kind of plug in there. So for instance, on the muscular strength in power, we might have had people do body weight squats, multi-joint movements, push-ups, lunges, and then for the beginner type stuff. And then as we moved up the scale of intensity and abilities, it would be with weight longer rest intervals, barbells, dumbbells, explosive type movements, squat jumps, split squat jumps, clap push-ups, things along those lines. And I'm just grabbing those off the top of
Hmm.
my head.
Sure.
So if someone is more interested, say for instance, I don't know, whatever, a multi-sport athlete in high school that's interested in more strength, power, team sports, they might find that topic on muscular strength and power more applicable to that, athlete, obviously. And I just wanted to use that one as an example, but there's a few more in here too. And the other thing is, I mean, JG did such a great job with the pictures and how many different exercises. I mean, there's just so much, and the content is great, and it's very. I think the descriptions are on point, of course, and the photos came out great too, all color. So very impressed with that too.
Yep. I know we have a maybe another topic or so, but to get to on that. But I do want to mention something that you just said. Kind of makes me think of maybe a lot of athletes think that, especially if they're going to the private sector, they might not think that they have a lot of time to train during
Yeah.
their season. So I think that's a perfect example of where you can maintain, your muscular endurance. You can maintain your strength and your power. And really, I mean, maybe it's after practice, go in and just get kind of a quick, 25, 30-minute workout, and you're done. You're still training, and you're not missing out on that training. You're still able to maintain during the season. So I appreciate you mentioning that, because I've heard that quite a bit too, about how, you just don't have time to train, but this is a perfect example of how you can kind of cut that down and kind of get more out of it. So I appreciate that one there.
Going into that, there's a college wrestling program that I've had the privilege of working with locally as well, and they've used things like MyZone devices in their athletes, and they've measured how their athletes respond to that type of training. So with doing interval type training or doing this maximum intensity training, and then you can obviously, with their clients that you're working with in the fitness world, if they're wearing some kind of heart rate tracker, it's really nice, because you can see things like if they're doing sled pushes or sled pulls, their heart rate is, going up into that, past that anaerobic threshold and into an anaerobic training mode. But then they go back and they do things like, jumping jacks or rope slams or things along that line. And depending on the pace that they're working at, they can see where their heart rate's responding. So a lot of times when we're working with people, if they're on the ropes and I'm dealing with athletes and we're measuring heart rate thresholds, and I really want to hit into an anaerobic training mode that day, if they're on the ropes and I see that they're staying in their aerobic training zone, then I'll push it up a little bit on them and say, okay, go faster, pick up your pace, or change the movement that we're doing. So we might go from doing, slams to jumping jacks. If you go from slams to jumping jacks, it'll make a big difference when you're using heavy ropes.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I was going to add too, what and what I guess you're kind of mentioning here too, John, or alluding to, is that, and Aaron, is that it's a complement to maybe a core activity. So if you are a runner or a triathlete or a multi-sport or a single sport athlete, you can incorporate this easily into pretty much a year-round training. John, would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, that was kind of the thought process we had behind the program. Was we have 60 workouts in the book, 5 different topic areas, 5 different, approaches to how you want to train your body. The idea was we really wanted to set it up so that people could cycle these workouts. And, Mike did a great job of covering periodization in the book and really discussing how we periodize all these workouts. So you can apply it to that sport training model and philosophy of training and use that, Eastern Bloc mentality of periodization with these workouts and still get great results, which is, what we do with a lot of our high school teams in the in-season model. Is we might go from an endurance day one day, I might have them do that, and then the next time I'm training them, we're going to a strength and power day.
Okay. I don't know if you guys want to touch on, I think there might have been fat loss and lean muscle mass. If you guys want to touch on those a little bit too.
Sure. I mean, obviously one of the key things I deal with every day, and Mike does in his business, is, people want to lose fat and gain muscle mass. And how do they do that as they get into their senior years, or how they do that as they get into their adult years? Because that's what everybody tells us they have the hardest time accomplishing. So really what we did with these workouts was, because they are working so hard during the hour-long session, they're going to get a lot of repetition volume, which is going to enhance muscle hypertrophy. So they are going to have a tendency to gain lean body mass by doing it, but they're burning a hell of a lot of calories and they're burning fat, because they're going, 600, 800 calories in that 1 hour time. I have clients come to me every day and say, hey, John, I just burned 800 calories doing this workout today. So it's not just that effect that they get during the session, but it's that post-metabolic effect, because they're burning 800 calories in a very tight, concentrated period of time. Their metabolism stays elevated post-workout for a prolonged period of time also.
Hey, JG, I was going to add to that too, is that just as a point of information, if you're going to burn about, like in an hour's time, obviously 60 minutes, if you're burning about 10 calories a minute, that's a pretty high tempo workout. So if you're going to go up to 800, I'd imagine that individual's got to be over 200 pounds and pretty darn fit. True. Is that your observation,
Oh
JG?
yeah, they're crushing. I mean, those are people that are like our leaders in our Spartan races, but
Right.
I have marathoners that are doing it as well. So I have people that are marathon trainers, and the biggest thing that a lot of those people have told us over the last couple of years is they're getting PRs in half marathons and marathons now because they're stronger and they're able to
Yeah. Right.
handle, they're able to run different marathons. And having had the opportunity to run the New York City Marathon, I can tell you when you're running up those bridges, that extra strength helps a little bit when you're trying to go through them.
Right.
It does make it, so particularly like we just trail race here locally, and a lot of my class participants did the trail race. They said it was really beneficial to them as they were climbing hills and going down hills.
I just one thing I wanted to add to that,
Mhm.
Aaron, is on the fat loss one in the endurance program, I think um, the workout is not as like comparatively to the strength power one. The workouts, excuse me, the effort intervals will be a little bit longer
Okay.
and not as high intensity as you're going to see with the sports performance or the muscle building programs. So there's some subtlety in there and some nuance that is built in by design for endurance or for fat loss. At the cellular level, we're just trying to, oxidize. I want to oxidize substrates, carbs, proteins, fats. And then, there's a little section in there too on EPOC, excess
Yeah.
post-oxidized oxygen consumption as well. And JG, I'll tell you, buddy, I would be curious to know, say, for instance, like some of your leaders in those, like in the Spartan races and stuff, what is their EPOC and that metabolism, because it's going to get spiked. How long does that stay elevated, and you get that afterburn effect too, which is nice. Of course, everyone wants to maximize their
Yeah.
workout and benefits from those.
Right? Yeah, it's fairly high. I mean, it's a lot
Gotta
higher than
be.
training was.
Yeah, it's gotta be way up there.
No, I think those are all great points, and especially the idea that of epoch, and you might have someone, probably I'm sure you guys do, that might come in and get in a workout during their lunch hour, and then they go back and sit at a desk the rest of the day, but they're still burning calories, they're still getting benefit from that workout for the rest of the day. So and it sounds like from your experiences that this type of training especially has contributed to that. Is that accurate?
Well, and I
Or
think the biggest thing, Aaron, going back to what we started with this conversation earlier was, what we're able to do now is people are able to get into the gym and do these workouts every day. So what's
Mhm.
happening is they're keeping their metabolism up every day, and they're elevating it every single day, and then it's maintained throughout that day. So by the time they come around to the next day and they're starting to decrease a little bit, they hit another workout again, and boom,
Wow.
they go right back up again. So you're not getting that roller coaster effect in their metabolism. They're maintaining a high metabolism, all week long. And that's really been the critical, I really have tried to use these workouts as a way of getting people away from the concept or the idea that I go to the gym 3 days a week or every other day.
Mhm.
And then the other benefit behind why we did this book and purpose behind it was we wanted to give people an opportunity. So, hey, if I'm not able to go to the gym today and I'm home, what can I do?
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
what we started doing with these workouts came out of what happened during COVID, because,
Okay.
we had people logging in online with us to do workouts, and all they had at home was a set of dumbbells. So how do we get you through, a workout with a set of dumbbells, and how do we train you with a set of dumbbells? So that worked out really, really well. And I even told people who didn't have dumbbells, I said, just take 2-gallon jugs and fill it with
Yeah.
water and we'll be fine, and they did. That was, what's interesting is I still even today have people come up to me and say, hey, those workouts over COVID, they were really great. Do you ever think about redoing those things again? So, we're trying to get people back in the gyms now so we can have more time face to face, because one of the key
Right.
things I think is also great about metabolic training is it's really a social workout, because when I say social, you're working with people and everybody's together and you're pushing each other and you're working hard. It's not necessarily, people aren't necessarily talking or having conversations, but it's that motivational thing that everybody shows up and everybody comes because they know people will be there. This morning I had 16 people at 6:15 doing metabolic training.
Oh, wow.
So, those people are there probably every Tuesday and Thursday at that time. So
That's awesome. I guess that kind of speaks to kind of the community that you can build, but not only in training, but this type of training specifically there. So,
right.
No, that's awesome. All right, yeah, I know we weren't going to take up too much of your time today. I know you guys both have very busy schedules, but I do appreciate you, hopping on to, talk about this book and spend a little bit of time talking about metabolic training, because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, I think if you just hear the word metabolic training, I think there probably are some misconceptions into exactly what that means, but I'm glad that you guys were able to clear a lot of that up and kind of give really specific examples of how this specific type of training can help, really anyone, regardless of what your goal is, and you're going to get a benefit. So for everyone listening, if you haven't got your copy yet, go ahead and grab it. Metabolic Training. It's on our website, us.humankinetics.com. I know everyone likes to use Amazon. I know it's there too. But I would encourage, if you, even if you do want to go that route, go to our website, because you're going to get a lot more information. You could read excerpts. You're going to get a lot more information about Mike and John, about their background, to kind of reinforce just the knowledge that they have, that they were able to put into the book. And when you do pick up your copy, I was impressed going through it, just the workouts and how they're laid out. I mean, it's really kind of mindless for everyone reading it. I mean, you can follow along, get in a great workout. There are pictures and exercise descriptions, like Mike mentioned earlier, that will really help out. So really a full, complete, comprehensive resource that everyone, whether you are, a coach, a trainer, an athlete, or just someone that wants to stay active and improve their fitness. So I appreciate all of the information. I will again give you guys last word to kind of wrap up here. And if you have, any, your website or anything you want to kind of direct people to, where they can keep up with all the great things that you guys are doing.
JG, let me go first and I'll let you close it down. Is that okay?
Sounds good, bud. Go ahead.
I just got to acknowledge Human Kinetics' effort behind the book. I think they had a concept at first where they wanted to go, and myself and John had a direction that we kind of met them on. And just the layout of the book, Michelle Earl did a fantastic job. Aaron, I know you were integral involved with the marketing team. I've looked at a lot of books from HK. My shelves are full of them, and I know John's probably got more than I do, but it's been a great book. And I tell you the other thing too, I would challenge personal trainers and group exercise leaders to grab the book, take a couple workouts, and just kind of see how it goes, or even parts of the workout. And I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. The workouts have really been curated through years, and you won't find anybody more experienced than not only John, as far as like the knowledge, but also he's coaching quite a bit. When he says he coaches 5 days a week, he's also getting in more than one class too. So he's knocking out a few as well. So that said, thanks to HK and thanks to John too.
Aaron, and I, just to reiterate Mike's comments, the work that Amy, you, Michelle, Jim, the entire HK team, all of you working together with us, from the photography to the editing to the marketing, was just great. I mean, the fact that you allowed us to shoot the pictures in our facilities in Allentown here, that way we could show real life what we do with this program and how we make it work. I mean, all the models in the book are actually participants in our classes, and one of them is actually my daughter, which is kind of funny. But, having the opportunity to write this book with my 30-year plus colleague, Mike, we've been together since we were 6.
Okay.
So, having the opportunity to do this book with Mike and put it together for HK, It's just been a really a blessing for both of
Yeah.
us. And we, as Mike said, and I'll reiterate it again, we can't say enough about the team leadership we got from you guys, and also the camaraderie we got, and the champion that you guys have done with this book. I mean, it's tremendous, and we think it's a practical book. We think it's very applicable. But I think the most important thing with the book is that it's usable, and that's what we want people to feel good about. Is you can take it on vacation with you, go in the gym, and you. So.
Absolutely, I know we definitely appreciate all the kind words there, and I mean I look forward to continuing to work with you guys on all this. But I do have to, before we get off here, I do have to mention the cover model on the book is a little suspect here. So if you guys kind of take a closer look at that, but
it's not me.
You're right. No, yeah, great job on that part too by you. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of the work that you guys have put into this, and to get on here to kind of explain a little more, and to so that our listeners, our followers, can hear directly from you guys. I think that holds a lot of weight there. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.